The first thing that we're going to look at today is the wheel. The wheel was invented in Mesopotamia around 3,500 years ago, and it revolutionized transportation. It allowed us to move goods and people much more easily. So we were able to start trading with other civilizations. And because of this wheel, ideas and culture could be exchanged between different civilizations. Because of the wheel, you could get from one city to another in a matter of hours instead of days or weeks. And this really did help to spread the ideas of the time period. For example, the wheel helped to spread Zoroastrianism and other religions like Judaism, Christianity, and Islam. The second item is paper. Paper was invented in China around 100 AD, so almost 2,000 years after the wheel, and it changed the world. Before paper, people used clay tablets and papyrus, but those were very expensive and not everyone could afford them. Paper was much cheaper, so it made writing and record keeping easier for everyone. This meant that more people could learn how to read and write. And paper also helped to spread knowledge throughout the world. For example, it helped the scientific revolution happen, because scientists could now share their ideas by writing them down and then printing them on paper. The third invention that we're going to look at is the compass. The compass was invented in China around 1,000 years ago, and it revolutionized navigation. Before the compass, sailors had to rely on the stars to navigate the seas. But the compass was much more accurate and reliable. This meant that people could travel much farther and explore new lands. It also helped to connect the world because traders could now get to markets much faster. The compass was also important for military leaders like Genghis Khan who wanted to conquer new lands. The fourth item is gunpowder. Gunpowder was invented in China around 900 years ago. It started out as a medicine, but soon people realized that they could use it as a weapon. Gunpowder was very important during the Mongol Empire. They would use gunpowder weapons like cannons to conquer new lands. They would also use gunpowder to make fireworks to celebrate special occasions. Europeans learned about gunpowder from the Mongols, and they used it to develop firearms, which helped them to conquer the Americas and other parts of the world. Gunpowder is still being used today in fireworks and weapons. The fifth item is the astrolabe. The astrolabe was invented in Greece around 2,000 years ago. It's a device that helps you tell the time by looking at the stars. It was very useful for sailors because it helped them to know where they were and how to get back to where they started. The astrolabe was also important for astronomers because it helped them to map the stars and planets. The sixth item is the telescope. The telescope was invented in the Netherlands around 400 years ago. It's a device that helps you see things that are far away much closer. Galileo used a telescope to observe the stars and planets. This led to the scientific revolution because people began to realize that the Earth was in the center of the universe. The telescope has also been used to explore space and take pictures of distant galaxies. The seventh invention that we're going to look at is the printing press. The printing press was invented in China around 1,000 years ago. It's a machine that makes it easier to print words and pictures onto paper. The printing press was very important because it helped to spread knowledge throughout the world. For example, it helped to spread the ideas of the Renaissance and the Reformation. The eighth item is the firearm. Firearms were invented in China around 1,000 years ago. It's a weapon that uses gunpowder to shoot bullets. Firearms were very important because they helped to change the way that wars were fought. For example, they helped the Mongols to conquer much of Asia and Europe. They also helped European powers to conquer the Americas and other parts of the world. Firearms are still being used today in many countries. The ninth item is the car. Cars were invented in Germany around 200 years ago. It's a vehicle that can carry people or goods. Cars were very important because they changed the way that people travel. For example, they made it much easier to go on vacation. Cars are still being used today all over the world. The 10th invention is the airplane. Airplanes were invented in the United States around 100 years ago. It's a vehicle that can carry people or goods through the air. Airplanes were very important because they changed the way that people travel. They made it much faster and easier to go on vacation or to visit family and friends. Airplanes are still being used today all over the world to transport people and goods. The 11th item is the computer. Computers were invented in the United States around 100 years ago. It's a machine that can store and process information. Computers have been very important because they have changed the way that we live. For example, they have made it much easier to communicate with other people. Computers are still being used today in almost every part of the world. The 12th invention is the smartphone. Smartphones were invented in the United States around 20 years ago. It's a type of computer that you can carry with you. Smartphones are very important because they have changed the way that we live. For example, they have made it much easier to communicate with other people. Smartphones are still being used today all over the world. So there are 12 inventions that have changed the world. These inventions have changed the way that we live, work, and play. They have also helped to connect the world and make it a smaller place. Now let's do some review questions. What invention helped to spread the ideas of the Renaissance and the Reformation? The answer is the printing press. Which invention was invented in China around 1,000 years ago and helped to change the way that wars were fought? The answer is gunpowder. What invention was invented in the United States around 100 years ago and has changed the way that we live by making it much easier to communicate with other people? The answer is the computer. Now let's do a map activity. On this map, mark the location where each invention was invented. You should have 12 markers, one for each invention. The answers will be on the next slide. Now let's do a timeline activity. Put the inventions in the correct order from earliest to latest. Again, the answers will be on the next slide. Now let's do a matching activity. Match each invention with its description. The answers will be on the next slide. Number 12. Which invention would you pick if you could have any one of these inventions and why? Write a paragraph explaining your answer. Okay, that's our lesson for today. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed this lesson, please click the like button. And if you haven't already, please subscribe. We have lots of other videos available, and we're adding new videos every week. Thanks again for watching. Bye.